Hello, welcome to Catholic Life, Ordinary People with Extraordinary Faith. I'm Deacon Jodi, and I'm so glad that you're with us today, and you're going to be glad too, because we have, once again, one of our very special guests. We have the First Lady from the state of Louisiana with us, Mrs. Donna Edwards. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you, Deacon.
I know we got 3 scheduled, but every time it's like a new one, so it's great. It's so great to have you come back.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an opportunity for me to highlight some of the initiatives that I've been working on the last couple of years. So
tell us about your website and your blog and that first, because I want people to know where they can get some of your stuff.
So this is started the Louisiana First Foundation. And out of that, I have 3 initiatives. Being a former music teacher, I support the arts, music, art, and movement. Right. And then I came to the understanding and knowledge of human sex trafficking, because there's other types of human trafficking, to include labor and organ. But so with the help of Father Jeff Bahi and others, educated me and showed me how I could use this position to really elevate the conversation. So, and then of course our Louisiana fosters, who are near and dear to my heart and should be to all of our hearts, because I feel like, I don't feel like they are our children. They're, they're Louisiana's children, our foster children, so therefore they're our children.
So we're going to talk about that today, and I don't want our audience to think that we're continuing to beat them over the head with foster, but we are, because we love our foster children. We want to care for them, and we love the families that support it. It's such a big thing for us, and we've had a lot of different angles on the foster thing here over the years, and of course we've talked about it before. But I want to just tell you, the audience, real quick. I was telling the First Lady that before I walked in, Roz in the office showed me a little video of one of the little foster children who was told he was being adopted. He's 3 years old, and I have a 3-year-old grandson, and so it touched my heart deeply to see the excitement.
Yes.
And what's your name going to be? And he knew his family's name. It was just, happy endings are not always there, but we hope they're always there, right?
Yes.
And so, so it's a big initiative that you have, and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, one of the things when I had a group of people came to me and asked me to consider looking into this, my love for children is like most people, just you want to help them, and so when I realized that our numbers were down across the state and adoptions, and so Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, is run by Secretary Marquita Walters, and she's doing a fabulous job. And she's been working in this space for so many decades, and so she has a real grasp and has some great leadership under her that are working. But just to give you a few numbers of where we've come from, which I'm so proud of the work that my husband's been able to do, and really helping this department, because they had been cut so bad, but helping them kind of get back up to a better situation. And I know that there's still a lot of work to be done in the foster care system. I totally understand it. I've heard it. Biological parents, foster parents have come to me and shared with me. But we're getting there. We're stepping forward, And so one of the things I wanted just to say is, first of all, there's an average of about 4,000 children in foster care at any given time in our state. And so, and I'm gonna come back to that number, but I wanna say that even in the pandemic of 2020, we found a way, they found a way, judges found a way to Zoom and to be able to have adoptions happen. Good. So that was huge. So we were able to, 4,067 adopted since 2016 when we took office. And despite the pandemic and the hurricanes, mind you.
Right.
We forget about the hurricanes of 2020. We had the 4th highest adoption total over those years. So that's really a lot. It says, we can do things when we really, get out there and work on it. But
priorities,
that's right. So a couple of things I'm really proud of that, so since John Bell became governor, one of the things that was an issue was the age. So at the age of 18, young children were given a folder. Here's your life. Here's all your things. Good luck. I hope it works for you. Now, we have a 19-year-old, but a 16-year-old when this was happening, and I'm thinking, wow, I can't imagine at the age of 18 handing him a folder and saying, hope things work out for you. And so I was able to speak to one of these young children who were in that situation. Mm-hmm. Deacon, he was the most joyful, bubbly person, not blaming anything or anybody. And so I had someone whisper in my ear, ask him where he lives. So I said, are you here? Where do you live? He said, well, and he kind of smirked. He said, right now I'm waiting for college to open up. I've been accepted to community college. So do you have, some family? He said, well, I'm living from couch to couch. That's homeless. Mm-hmm. He's living from couch to couch.
Wow. And
so it just pricked a part of my heart, thinking, what are we doing in our state? Mm-hmm. And there was some senators and representatives who were already thinking the same thing. And Senator Jodi from North Louisiana put some legislation through, and we were able to raise the age that children would age out of the foster care system from mm-hmm. 18 to 21.
Oh, good.
And, of course, there's a fiscal note attached to that. And it's important to realize these children, there's no money. You can't put a value on the life of a child, the life of a person. But these children needed that extra time to get their grounding, to have the support of a system.
Some of them aren't even out of high school at 18.
Not out of high school, no. But be able to have medical help, to be able to have resources available to get to the next stage in their life, to have somebody help them, mm-hmm. that's huge. And so we started blossoming in our thought process. And so I was having a conversation with a gentleman one night, and we were talking about how many churches there are in our state, just how many churches are in Louisiana, mm-hmm. and how our churches have kind of just been in their own little bubble silos and doing mm-hmm. their own work. But we need to have them bring them back to helping our communities and our children. Mm-hmm. And so how do we do this? And so then came up with one church, one family, one child initiative. And so I have a young lady who's helping me with this initiative. So basically the idea, I think I shared this with you before, but if a church, and I don't want to put all on the pastors, or the deacons, because they have a lot going on, mm-hmm. but if a ministry within that church would take it on and say, we're going to recruit families, start with a family in our church, recruit them to consider being a foster family. And then that family would go through the process of becoming foster parents, foster children. Right. And I want people to understand what that means. It means taking a child into your home, helping them, loving them, healing them, so that they can possibly go home. Right. I think we forget about that part.
That's
the goal is
the goal.
No matter how bad a situation is in the home life, I think we all would agree that we all want to just go home. Mm-hmm. And so the goal is for them to go home if the family has received the help, the services, the counseling that they need to heal. Right. And then the child can go back in the home. But if not, then the child stays within that home. But we're recognizing how important it is to have a stable situation. Finally, in the year 2021, we realized that child being in one home and not multiple homes is really the way. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we're learning, we're teaching, sharing trauma education, which is understanding why the child acts the way that they do. So this family goes through this process. And so then the family doesn't feel all by themselves, because now the church is a ministry. Right. So the church wraps themselves around this family and this child. So what do they give to this family and this child? Love, support, respite during the week maybe. Maybe they have an opportunity once a couple of weeks to have a movie night for mm-hmm. these foster children in their church who mm-hmm. can come there, have babysitters, and then the parents who are fostering be able to go out for a night. Right. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the church, maybe there's a retired educator who can say, I'd love to tutor them. Be available.
That would be incredible.
Maybe there's somebody that really doesn't have a lot of time, but they have resources. I'd be glad to pay for their after school basketball or football program, or their music lessons. I'd be glad to help with an outfit for a prom, or and maybe the child is 18 and looking for a job, need clothes for an interview. So there's all kinds of opportunities that we everyday people can do to help the situation. You don't have to necessarily take the child into your own home, but if every church would consider a ministry such as this, One Church, One Family, One Child. I have on my website, Louisiana Fosters, take the logo, take everything you can, it's yours. Use it to really bring in families for this ministry.
That's an incredible challenge to the churches that I love, because I work at a church and business manager, and yes, administratively we're kind of pressed, but we have a lot of people in the church that we can go to and say, would you organize this effort? Sure. I'm not asking you to be a foster parent.
Right.
Organize the effort. Maybe find a family that would go through the process of becoming qualified to take on. You got to start somewhere.
Start somewhere.
And maybe with a nudge and a push, we can nudge this forward. It's a great idea. I just think that letting people be aware of it, the people that are watching can go to their church. Everyone that's watching this goes to a church.
That's right.
And you can go to your deacon or your pastor. If the pastor's busy, go to somebody in the office and say you heard this on the show, and you'd like to come talk to somebody. I know if somebody came to our church and said, Deacon, I want to come talk to you about putting together a foster program, based upon what
ministry,
the First Ladies or whatever, I would bring them in and we'd sit down and we'd talk about it, and we'd start at the beginning. What is it going to take? Who do we have? And what resources do we need? And we can always fill those gaps.
I think you're right. I know you're right. And and I say, with the churches that we have in our state, if every church would take this on, we could take all of these children that are in foster care every single day and love them, care for them, nurture them, give them healthy love, and that is going to make your community be better. And I think we all need to focus on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and it's going to help the parents, the biological parents, if they know that their child, and that's not in every situation, but if they know their child is being taken care of. I have seen and heard the dialogue between a biological mom and a foster mom and the struggles that they went through. Our state started something called QPI. It was a very raw discussion.
Hold on to that.
Okay.
I want to take a short break because that we can get into this.
Yes.
So let's take a short break. We'll come back and we're going to jump right into this.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're talking to the First Lady of the state of Louisiana, Mrs. Donna Edwards, and we're going to take a short break. Then we're going to come right back. Stay with us.
Hey, I'm Father Joshua Johnson. I am the Vocation Director for the Diocese of Baton Rouge. God our Father created each and every single one of us, you and I, for no other reason than because God desires for us to become saints. That is our primary vocation, to become a saint forever in the kingdom of heaven for all eternity with God. But for some of us, our path to becoming a saint is going to be through the state of life vocation of the priesthood of Jesus Christ. If you believe that God might be calling you, if you have a thought, hey, look, God might be inviting me to discern the priesthood of Jesus Christ as my path to becoming a saint, to help other people become saints in their walk toward eternity, then I want to invite you to reach out to me at our office vocations here at the Diocese of Baton Rouge so that we can walk with each other. I can accompany you in your discernment, in your prayer, and learning more about the gift of the priesthood of Jesus Christ so that you can discern, is God inviting you to walk toward eternity as a priest of Jesus Christ?
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Welcome back to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I am so fired up because we're talking to the First Lady of the state of Louisiana, and every time Miss Donna comes in, I just know that we got important things to talk about, and it makes me feel like we can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And
we can.
And we can. So right before the break, you were starting to jump into a topic that I wanted us to be able to expand on a little bit more. And before that, we were talking about churches and how we can facilitate some movement in this. So go.
So one of the things that Secretary Marquita Walters did was implement a program called QPI, Quality Parent Initiative. And so the group said, well, why don't you put it in and pilot it? And she's like, we don't have time. We don't have time. We've got some really issues and with foster care in our state, and we're just gonna put it all over the state. And so basically, it was a training for everybody, from the person that answers the phone, the caseworkers, everybody involved with this child, and the parents, the biological and the foster parents. So I witnessed the dialogue at a conference for QPI of a foster mom and a biological mom. The biological mom had drug issues and had been struggling. And so the child got pulled from her. And so the foster mom, who loved this child and was treating her like her own, as that's the way you're supposed to, because some people say, well, I don't think I could handle it if a child was taken from me or put back in their family. We need you. If that's how you feel, because your heart is that big, that's exactly the type of people we need. So I watched the dialogue between those two, and it still brings tears to my eyes because it was such a raw discussion about this child. And the biological mom loved this child, but she had an addiction, and it was very difficult. I have never had to struggle with an addiction. I've had people I love and know that have, and it is very difficult to watch. Right. And so it's real. And but the foster mom, when the child was taken out, the QPI, they call the mom and tell them, hey, I've got your child. They have their favorite blanket. They have this. I'm going to call you back tomorrow and let them, and not necessarily let the child talk to you, but we'll be in conversation. And so that right there is such a healing blessing for the child. Yeah. And so that's one really great thing about QPI, and it's got a lot of work still, a lot of work in those areas with our judges and all the people who all working within this situation. But the end story is this: the child loved the foster mom so much, he was feeling torn. So the foster mom had a little bit of land by her home. So she placed, with the help of the biological, and there was some serious, back and forth between the two because it wasn't always warm and cozy. It was pretty tough love. And but she allowed the biological mom to put a trailer next to her house so that the child
could have both. Wow.
So the child was able to heal, to feel the security and the stability of the foster mom and the family, but have the mom who he loved be right next to him. And that's real love.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's a testimony to real love. One of the things I want your viewers to know is what you mentioned, is you don't have to foster a child in your home. So with our One Church, One Family, One Child, we've come up with a tier. So the first tier would be provide meals weekly for the family that has been recruited in this church. And there are already some families in your church, you just don't know them. Right. So maybe find those families that are already in your church, already fostering, and help them.
Wow, that's I haven't even thought about that.
Yes, you don't even realize that they're fostering.
Go ahead.
Well, pray and fast. Pray for these children. Pray for, through fasting, through daily prayer.
And you can fast, just give up a meal and give it to the family.
That's right.
That's right.
And shower them with birthday parties. for the foster child family, provide equipment or tuitions like we spoke about, sports activities, prom dresses, all, and collect gift cards. This is something we also have on my website called Cards for Kids. Take the logo, use it however you want to, but you can have how many parties do we have in Louisiana? Well, after coming out of a pandemic, but crawfish bowls and birthday parties. But ask the people who are coming to your events, Christmas parties, and that's what I did. I raised $20,000
Wow.
2 years ago by asking everybody when they came to bring a card that goes to a kid. We were able to take those cards and give them to different agencies. Caseworkers are like teachers. They pull out of their pockets to help give money to help buy clothes and toiletries and anything the child may need. There's so many organizations. So what I've done, I've made it really easy. On louisianafosters.la.gov, you can go there. We have a clickable map. You can click on your parish. Up will pop different groups that are in your parish that are already helping foster families.
Wow.
There's some right here in Baton Rouge that are helping give them clothes, backpacks, and so offering to collect cards, $25 cards, from the people who come, give those cards to those groups that they can buy supplies to help the foster children when they're pulled from the homes.
Right.
And
one thing that we could offer the viewers is once this show actually airs, it'll be on the website, and they can take the link and they can show this show at a meeting of potential supporters of the One Church, One Family, One Child initiative.
Great idea. Great idea.
And you could put it on the website.
I would love to do that.
Because you're doing such a great job explaining everything. It would be much better coming from you than even from the priest or the deacon, quite frankly.
Well, I like that.
And
that's what we're doing. We're Zooming. We're doing Zoom tours. We were going to do a bus tour to go to churches and encourage them, so we're doing Zoom tours. So if your church is interested and you have someone, reach out to my office through Louisiana First Foundation or fosters.la.gov and contact us, and we will include your person who's interested in the ministry in our next Zoom. And then we'll be able to give them the information they need. It's all there. It's just putting it together.
Right.
And so the second tier would be the ministry within your church. Starting that, finding who the foster kids are, parents who are in your, existing in your church, and then working within starting this ministry. Right. And then the third, of course, would be to bring in the child into your home. So there's different ways that we can all help.
Many people think this is very difficult. I don't know if I could ever do this. But the reality of life is that the theological virtues of faith, hope, and charity, charity is love. That third one is the one that we need to hang our hat on, because that's the outreach part. In my family, we've had to bring my wife's parents in, and who would have thought we could have done that? But you do what you have to do. And if you take on this responsibility, there's enough support to help you. So you can channel that same kind of energy into this kind of ministry.
Without a doubt.
If you just know enough about it and are educated and know where to get the information. And we're going to put that all on the screen. So this is great. This is great. And there are a lot, I went to the website, and there are a lot there's a little thing with all the different agencies where you hit the thing and they scroll, and you can pick one, and you can pick one that's where you've got the information out there for us. We just need to grab it.
And also, in regards to the blog, we've tried to make it easy, where if you go to the section that's about Louisiana Fosters, then you will see different writings from foster families from in regards to their knowledge, or agencies who are working within that that space. And so once again, education, awareness, prevention. And so I think we all should be challenged to educate ourselves. It's kind of like reading the Bible. If you don't pick it up and open it and read it, then you're not going to know what's in it, and you're not going to know how it directs your life. And I strongly believe that we are called to educate ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what we're supposed to do. You know, we become a society that's so focused on media, and this is a great show to watch. There's other shows and other sources, you know, social media is just such a time waster, in my opinion. And we have to be careful. It's not a bad thing necessarily,
Right.
but we have to be careful. And so, you know, use those opportunities to just, if you're going to be on social media, research some really great, you know, topics like foster care, like human trafficking, like things that maybe you're, you know, interested in, but educate yourself on some way in your community that you can serve God through being the vessel. You
Right,
know?
absolutely. You know, this is, you know, Catholic life, but this show crosses denominational boundaries, and we can present this show to non-Catholic churches the same way that we present it to our own churches. You know, we kind of think in our own little box of our parish,
Right.
but some of these churches that are out there are much bigger than our parishes and have way more resources.
Without a doubt.
And if we could get this information to them, you know, pump this video to your friends that go to one of the other churches and say,
Please.
look, watch this video and share it with people in your parish, because that's how we do the self-education that you're talking about, which starts with being prompted.
And I don't want people to think it's complicated. It's really not.
It's not.
It's just, and there's no really playbook. Just go to the websites, go to DCFS website, learn about it, and then take the necessary steps to educate, go through the classes to become a certified foster family.
Right.
That's the time that would be required. But if the church would encourage that and help, you know, even the foster family, maybe they have children at home, their own children, and they want to go through this process, offer to keep their kids during the night that they're going
Right.
to these sessions. Or now they're Zooming, you know, so now's probably an easier time than ever to go through a lot of these courses, you know.
Absolutely.
And let me just say one more thing. It's not a perfect system. Systems are not perfect. People are not perfect. So the foster care system has a lot of bumps, just like anything else in organizations. And so, but we don't do well by complaining. We do well by helping, coming
Right.
up with solutions and helping, regardless of the system or regardless of the organization. We all have bumps, right? And so, you know, there are going to be issues that are going to be difficult, and there's going to be times that maybe you're not getting, you know, the services you need for your child. And so just plow your way through it.
So let's all be part of the solution.
There you go.
And that's a challenge to everybody. Be part of the solution and don't complain about where we are unless you're willing to take the bull by the horns and do something about it. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank
I'm so
you.
glad you were with us. And thank you for watching. We've been talking to the First Lady, and we'll have her on again, I promise. So till next time, God bless everyone.